claiming Merrick Garland can't prosecute Trump is ill-conceived at best. This is from MSNBC. Some legal commentators argue that the Justice Department could have a conflict of interest because prosecuting Trump could appear political. Obviously it is. Quote, the House January 6th committee just heard testimony Thursday about how former President Donald Trump exerted anonymous pressure on the Justice Department on December 2020 and early January 2021 to declare the presidential election corrupt, a bid that, if it was successful, would have secured the Justice Department's legal blessing for a co-op, keeping Trump in power for at least 4 more years. This is part of a horrific chain of events leading up to the insurrection of January 6, 2021. The crimes were almost certainly committed, but the House committee can't prosecute anyone. That's a job for the Justice Department. Told you. Nobody cares about this investigation, literally. We're all alive during January 6th. We're all alive during that point. We know exactly what happened. We had a clock and we had our phones. We saw exactly when Trump responded to the attack on the Capitol. Subpoenas do not hold up in the court of law. It's not anything that's mandatory. You do not have to go to a subpoena. You can just look at other cases at which people had to show up for a subpoena. It's not punishable by law, so nobody even goes. I said that the House cannot prosecute Donald Trump. These civil suits don't do anything. It's just an investigation, and they're going to question you. Like, they cannot prosecute you beyond that. They'll invite you to there, but you don't need to show up. There is no evidence that Biden or anyone in the White House is pressuring Garland to make the prosecutorial decision one way or the another. Yes, they are. By the way, among the many perceived obstacles to the Justice Department's prosecuting Trump is the ill-conceived argument that Attorney General Merrick Garland has a conflict of interest because he's a political appointee of President Joe Biden, Trump's opponent in 2020 election. Well, yeah, duh, that's a conflict of interest. Like, do you think that we're dumb, CNN? The argument is wrong for several reasons. Okay, let's see your reasons. First, Garland's personal interest is insignificant. Yes, it is. It is very significant. What are you talking about? The conflict of interest is the most important thing about this. What do you mean it's insignificant? That doesn't even make any sense. Other than that, the personal interest that we all have as Americans is ensuring that nobody, particularly a president, is above the criminal law. Garland did not himself run against Trump in the 2020 election, and there is no evidence that Biden or anyone in the Biden White House is pressuring Garland to make this prosecutional decision one way or the other. You just explained how he is, but you're framing it in a way that he's not. First of all, he's appointed by Joe Biden. You just said that. Second of all, his boss is Joe Biden. He's running against him in 2024. He ran against him in 2020, first of all. And you said that there's no pressure from Biden. Yes, there is pressure from Biden. That's the pressure you just listed. So, going on with the article, we have one or more disturbing aspects of the decision is that some legal commentators argue that the Justice Department could have a conflict of interest because prosecuting Trump could appear to be political. But then, these same skeptics turn around and argue that other political considerations weigh against the Justice Department's prosecuting Trump because prosecution would divide the nation and inflame Trump supporters. Jack Goldsmith, oh my God, I can't talk. Jack Goldsmith, a Justice Department official in the George W. Bush administration, appeared to suggest this in the New York Times op-ed this week. So, in other words, it is bad for politics to motivate prosecution of a former president, but the Justice Department could consider politics in deciding not to prosecute a former president. Again, this is wrong. The Justice Department should not consider politics on either side of the prosecutional decision. A current or high-ranking public official who wants to commit a serious crime should be prosecuted just like anyone else. Obviously, we all agree with that statement, MSNBC, same exact Bush. But the thing is that this is not a perfect world and everybody has their opinion. So you need to get somebody that maybe does not have an opinion on Trump, or you have to get somebody that knows nothing about the situation and looks at the evidence in an open mind. This person that's appointed by Joe Biden is not a person with an open mind. Duh. Next, being a supporter or an opponent of the current president or a former president is irrelevant because whether one has committed a crime, it is essential to a functioning democracy that a political alliance or a numerous be irrelevant for prosecutional decisions. Well, yeah, obviously, it would be nice to have a bipartisan person that is in the jury system, but we do not have bipartisan judges. You admit that. Now, this is very different from Attorney General Jeff Sessions' position in 2017 when he was rescued from the Russia investigation. Sessions was a key advisor to Trump in the 2016 election, sat at the table with campaign advisors when they discussed the Russians, and himself had met with the Russians, although he confidently forgot the fact that he was asked about this under oath in the Senate confirmation hearing. In the scenario, Sessions clearly had to rescue himself from the Russia investigation under the Federal Office of Government Ethics Impracticability Rule 5 CFR and 2635.502, as well as conflict of interest rules for lawyers. So, if the Justice Department plays politics with a Trump prosecution, not only Garland's reputation, but also those of many Justice Department associates would be in the ruins. Garland, by contrast, has been a federal judge for decades and was not involved in any political campaigns, including the 2020 election, but never disclosed publicly whom he voted for in the election or any other, except for Trump's efforts to obstruct the January 6th committee or the Justice Department's investigation of the January 6, 2021. All of the events could be subject to federal prosecution of Trump occurred before Biden appointed Garland as Attorney General. In this case, there's simply no reason for Garland to rescue or recuse. So again, at the same exact time as all of these quote arguments for the fact that Garland is bipartisan, you go back to the major case, right? You said that except for Trump's efforts. So you just said that there is no way that he can be partisan, but you said except for, and we're just going to glance over that. Oh no, except for, what do you mean? He needs to be bipartisan. You just admitted that he needs to be. Instead, after a polished career on a federal bench, Garland has a lot to lose by way of reputation. If he or anybody else in the Justice Department plays politics with the Trump prosecution, any Justice Department discussion of the matter with White House political advisors or any other political operatives is sure to come to light. Justice Department records in this administration must be preserved under federal law, and eventually they will fall into the custody of a future administration that could possibly and probably would expose any improper political involvement in a prosecution of Trump or any other of his associates. If the Justice Department plays politics with a Trump prosecution, not only Garland's reputation, but also those that are around him of his Justice Department associates would be in the ruins. But that's not an active argument. Saying that their career might be over, okay? Do you think that they care? They're there for one reason. That is their career. That's their career star point. That's the only reason why they're there in the very first place. That's why they were appointed to do that one thing. Duh. They don't care. They're going to be paid millions of dollars from Joe Biden. Second, the Justice Department has lots of career employees to rely upon to make prosecutional decisions about Trump conduct before and after the election. And those people are bipartisan too. Welcome to the House. We're going to skip this. So third, under the same regulations, the Justice Department used to appoint Robert Mueller in 2016, Garland could appoint a special prosecutor to oversee criminal prosecutions of Trump or any other high-ranking officials from the previous administration. He is not required to appoint a special prosecutor, but he has the power to do so if he believes one or more prosecutional decisions require the additional lawyer of independence occurred under the special prosecutor regulations. Last year, I called for the Justice Department to appoint a special prosecutor to investigate crimes Trump and others allegedly committed in seeking to overturn the election, and that can still be done. Once again, the decision about whether or not to prosecute a former president is a legal decision and not a political decision. Now, you're making the same point that you made in the beginning. Now, the beginning was irrelevant. You're saying that this person is not bipartisan because I said that I'm not bipartisan. That's not an argument. CNN, I mean MSNBC over here. That doesn't even make any sense. First of all, we already talked about it. And where does the fourth reason come in? They only do 3 reasons. Okay. Well, I guess that's it for the MSNBC article. We're going to move on to the next MSNBC article because, oh, we love these so much. No, we don't. Hey. Were you really going to click off this video before leaving a like and subscribing down below? Wow, so rude.